Hey, you guys. So, welcome back to Being Becoming the podcast. I am one of your hosts, Makaya, also known as MB. All my homies call me that. And if you know, you know. So, shout out to all of our homies who are listening. That's our family. That's, our friends, the people who have been riding with and rocking with this podcast. So, if you're a member of that, you're part of our homie crew. But anyway, also, don't let me forget, our other co host is here, Janelle. Whoop, whoop.
Hey, what's up, my people?
Yes. So, if you are new to the podcast, let's give you a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we're here for. So, we are Becoming the podcast. We are a weekly podcast where we talk a little bit about anything and everything, but we hope to help people on their journey to become. So, we leave that part open ended for our audience. So, become whatever you want to work towards becoming. So, whether you want to work on I apologize, you guys. There's some police that done just went by. But whether you want to work on becoming, better financially, whether you want to work on, your mental health, just anything, whatever space you're in, we hope that you're working on the journey to become the best version of yourself. So as always, I do have to put the caveat. We are not experts, but we are here to do the work. And we're sharing everything that we're learning and our knowledge with you guys. But anyway, Janelle, what are we talking about this week? We're actually shooting you guys today on Juneteenth, which I'm super excited about. But girl, what are we talking about since, it's Juneteenth?
Well, MV, exactly what you just said. We're going to be talking about Juneteenth. So I'm just going to give you a mini history lesson on today. So President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation January 1st, 1863, which stated that enslaved Blacks in the Confederate States were declared legally free and shall be free forever. But everyone in the Confederate was not immediately set free. So even though the Emancipation Proclamation was made effective in 1863, Texas still enslaved people were not free until much later. So we have more than 250,000 Blacks that were still enslaved in Texas. So federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and to ensure that all enslaved people were indeed freed. So Juneteenth honors the end of slavery, and on June 17th, 2021, it officially became a federal holiday. So we applaud, them finally making it a holiday and us actually receiving that recognition that we deserve.
Well, girl, thank you for our history lesson. Yeah, so we're literally like June 17th. That was 2 days ago. Yes. It was made a federal holiday. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more like, Janelle alluded to, celebrating the small wins. Even though today is Juneteenth and it is a federal holiday, there's a lot more that we have to do when it comes to, police reform, teaching Black history, which is American history in the school systems, and other things. So we do want to take today to celebrate and remember our ancestors in all of our history. But like I said, we're talking about celebrating small wins. We've kind of talked about this in some of our other podcast episodes where we talked about, success and wanting to achieve something, but wanting to enjoy, the process. Like, even though you have this big goal in mind, like there's little things on the way that you're achieving. So how do you kind of celebrate those small wins? And should you celebrate those small wins? Which my initial thought is yes, of course. Why would you not want to celebrate the small wins and the small victories? So girl, what's your thought on the topic? Like, I feel like there's a lot of reasons why we want to celebrate small wins in between.
Yes, I totally feel like it's a good thing for us to celebrate both the small wins, big wins, all kind of wins. But at the same time, I have like mixed emotions in regards to it. You know what I'm saying? Simply because it's like, of course, I love my Black heritage.
Right.
And my people endured slavery too. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, she worked on a plantation picking cotton.
Right.
So it's huge. You get what I'm saying? And when I say my grandmother, shoot, that's like the next big kin. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't my great great granny or my great 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 granny. It was legit my grandmother. So and again, if my grandmother was still living, she would be right at like 85. So just think about that. You know what I'm saying? And just look
Right.
back and be like, dang, that really wasn't that far long ago, you know, that we were still slaves and we still had to work on plantations and basically be free. That was free work. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
So,
I completely agree with you. I have mixed feelings on the subject because I mean we talked about it offline a little bit. Like just because you guys made it a federal holiday, like that's nothing to me. Like there's so much stuff how as I alluded that we have to do and we need to continue to do things that I haven't even spoke about, things that I don't even know about, or I'm not privy to. There's a lot of injustices going on. And really we need to break down we really need to break down our American system in general because it's historically historically is racist. So we need to break down that and remove the layers and change some things within that before we even start talking about national holidays, because whether this was made a national holiday or not, we were going to celebrate. Like we were going to enjoy our day. We were going to remember our ancestors and our history. So this isn't doing anything for us specifically as a Black community, but it is a small win and I do want to talk about it. But outside of Juneteenth, like just celebrating small wins in generally, what's your idea and thoughts about that? Like
how can I say it? Your small wins and your small victories, it leads up to the bigger finale. You get what I'm saying? So you really have to take into consideration and really enjoy the present moment. I know we spoke about that last week. Being able to enjoy the present moment. And again, like you just stated, not everything is going to be what you want it to be. It's a lot of work that has to go in place in between that period.
Right.
So you just have to stay on task. Even though you're celebrating small victories, there's still a task. You know what I'm saying? You still have a job to basically finish at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like say for instance, Cori Bush, she is one of the Black leaders that was actually voted into office here in St. Louis, Missouri. It was a very big win for her to get that,
Right.
But at the same time, we celebrate with you, but now it's time for you to actually do the work and bring some changes into the legislation system. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely. Yeah, I remember when we talked about her, we did an episode about, future Black leaders in America and the people who are, currently on the rise or we see in future in the rise. And we had listed her as one of them. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I do think when I think of small wins in general, and I'm not just talking about, Black history and things that, we're working on right now within American system and America's history and all of that. I think about like small wins help you create more motivation and helps you measure like specific growth and trends. So when I mean that, like I'll give you an example of like food related. I currently have, a specific weight loss goal in mind. I actually have like a weight that I would like to hit that I feel like is a healthy weight for me specifically. So in between time, I'm celebrating the small wins. A lot of people, when they go, they change their eating habits. Sometimes they'll have like one cheat meal. So that's a small example of like celebrating the small wins. Like, hey, you've been consistent with, your weight loss. You've been consistent with eating healthy. Here's one cheat meal you may have a week or, every 2 weeks or anything of that nature. Also, I measure my weight loss. So I literally have a board in my common area living room. And I drew like a little thermometer on there. And then I have like, labels of like certain weight loss that I want to hit. So when I lose 5 pounds, when I lose 10 pounds, and it goes up from that until I achieve my goal. So that's just like a reminder. And again, it's a measurable goal for me. So that's like a little celebration when I'm able to like, just shade that number in. Cause like I've lost 10 pounds, I'm able to shade that in. So it's just little ways that you can go about celebrating small wins, whether it be as we initially, started off with talking about, celebrating small wins with changes in legislation, changes in, people that we have in power. Because once you have, power or once you have those people in place, other changes can occur. It's a small stepping stone, but other changes can occur because we have our foot in the door. Exactly. Or whether you go from, talking about, corporate jobs, wanting to change in that, or relationships, or, like we talked about right now, physical health, whatever it may be. So I definitely think it keeps you motivated on that goal when you celebrate small wins, but it just helps you to stay accountable because you're measuring, you know, your growth as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I totally agree. Totally agree.
So one thing I did want to say, as we talk about small wins, don't let your huge goal distract you from celebrating that small win. I think we highlighted that a little bit, but I wanted to go a little bit more deeper into what like that means, or what I believe it means specifically, and what me and Janelle believes it means. So, for example, I have a huge goal when it comes to this podcast. I would like to have, you know, 10,000 subscribers across platforms. I've said that before. That's hopefully not news to you guys who are listening out there. But that's, you know, that's my, I won't say end all be all goal, but that's a big goal that's up here. But I have measurable things in between. Like I found out yesterday, we've only been on our Buzzsprout site for about, you know, maybe 2 months or so, if even that. We've reached 200 downloads now, which is great. That's amazing. Like for us to be able to have people who want to download, you know, our podcast is amazing. Like obviously, you know, we have people who listen to it, but to actually push that download button and want to re-listen to an episode or maybe share it with a friend or family member, like that's mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's a measurable goal for me, you know, 200 downloads, and, you know, the next one's 500 and 1,000. So when we get there, we'll be celebrating those. Also, me and Janelle talked about it. We're about to reach our 30th episode, which is crazy to think about. We've been consistent since, you know, me and Janelle both started together, which was in December of last year. But honestly, I forgot to celebrate this with you guys. This is 1 year of becoming. We initially, I don't know if any of you guys have been really listening or following this long, but we initially just started off on YouTube. It wasn't a podcast. It was just me sitting down and talking, you know, to some friends about different topics. I think our first episode actually had to do about, you know, the
police brutality.
Yes, thank you. Police brutality, where I sat down with Janelle and some of our other friends, and we just talked about what was happening, you know, change that we wanted to see, reform that we wanted to see. And that happened last year in June. So it's crazy to think that, you know, it's been a year for us and this is like a full circle moment. So that's another measurable goal for us. And we've been consistent. Like I said, me and Janelle, I think, joined the podcast in December, and we've been consistent every, you know, week. There was 1 week where we were off, but we did a second episode to make up for that. So we're not even counting that.
Right.
But again, those are what I'm trying to say is those are individual measurable goals that we want to celebrate in between. And we take little things to celebrate. Like we're going to be having a giveaway coming up very soon for our 30th episode. You know, me and Janelle, when she came to town, you know, we celebrate certain things. I remember there was one episode we did like a little champagne toast. It was very quick at the beginning. I think all of us had like individual drinks. I don't know if all of us had champagne, but you know, just small things. It doesn't have to be something so big. So, girl, what are some things that you do? What are some goals that you feel like you've achieved so far in 2021? Some small measurable goals, or, you know, ways to get up to that big goal. And then how do you celebrate them?
I feel like this year has been one of the most amazing years in such a long time. Mm-hmm. For me, how can I say it? It's just been my year of prosperity. I know I've been telling people this over and over again, but when I say mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, all of those realms has been like simply amazing. And like one of my huge goals was to finish graduate school, and I was able to do that. But thank you. But even throughout that process, you always have to say, okay, Janelle, you can't get off focus. Right. Hey, Janelle, you can't get behind. Because MB, I was telling MB, girl, I'm doing 4 and 5 what's the thing, assignments before time. Like, I know MB was like, hold on, you just finished a whole month of work. I said, yes, a whole month, you guys, worth of work in grad school. I finished. Yeah, that's how ahead that I was, because I was like, I refuse to procrastinate. I refuse to get behind. I just refused on everything. Because I was like, girl, we getting this degree. We snatching all of this, baby. Like,
Yes.
period. But you know me, I like to shop. So that's one of my little reward systems. Going to give me a purse or going to give me some shoes. Look, and Emmy knows I love to shop online. So a little outfit or something, that makes me happy, y'all. That makes me happy.
Girl, I'm saying, I will say when I start getting to those bigger numbers, whether it's, talking about a podcast or even bigger numbers, specifically when I lose the amount of weight that I want to lose, girl's gonna be out on the beach somewhere.
Period.
Girl's gonna have a whole trip. Gonna be all on Instagram, like, yes.
Look, I cannot wait. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I was just thinking about that. I was talking to Ashley, you know Ashley. And so I was talking to Ashley and I was just like, girl, I cannot wait. I said 6 months from now. Hold on, when is October? July, August, September, October. But the next 4 months, we gonna see something. You gonna be like, this girl that popped out swimsuit. Oh,
okay, I know that's right.
So yeah, just be prepared. Just be prepared. Me and MB, we gonna boom.
Girl, yes. You're gonna see many because we gotta, circle it back. You're gonna see many blessings, and that's gonna really be, our testimony.
Amen.
Because there's already been so many blessings in our lives. Like, Janelle just talked about graduating. Like, that was a huge thing for her. The coursework was not easy. Like she said, she was staying doing a paper or doing some homework or catching up on assignments. And then she was doing it all while working too. Like, it wasn't like she was just focused on that. She had other time commitments and things she had to attend to. She had other family things that, came in during this year as well. And she was able to attend to that. So it's just been a blessing, and we want to continue to just share, our personal journey and our stories, the things that we're doing, the good and the bad, you guys. So yeah, it's just been a blessing. But I did want to talk. Go ahead.
Girl, you know what the crazy thing is, Envy? I'm sorry to cut you off too. But like you said, even not to be funny, those are distractions that came into place. And sometimes you have to be able to maintain a balance in all areas.
Right.
So many of you don't know, during that time, my father got really sick too. And so like MB was saying, you have to juggle family life, being, okay, I got to do this. I got to take care of his business, but then also take care of your business, still do the things that you need to do and want to do. And it's a whole thing. Like, it's plenty of times where I could have got distracted, but you got to stay on course. Like, you really do. And it's up to you to make sure that you follow through on whatever you want to accomplish. But back to you, MB.
Can't agree. I mean, you take me back into my next point, which is when you're trying to achieve, something big and you're celebrating those small wins, like, create a reward system in between. We kind of talked about things that we personally do, but I just wanted to highlight a few other things that you can do just to reward yourself. And, when you get off track, get back on track as well. Like, don't just because you got off for a moment or, something came in their way, or like Janelle said, there's a distraction, just get back on the horse. Don't let it, trip you up. Reflect on it, maybe figure out how you aren't able to get distracted in that same manner again, if it's something that you can control, and get back on the horse. But when it comes to a reward system, a simple thing is to do, maybe just take a break. Like, once, you feel like you've start making achievements to your goal, and, you hit that first small victory, maybe that second or third, take a day just to do a self-care day. Do a self-care Sunday. Maybe just, focus on yourself. Don't continue. Like, for example, let's say if you're going to school. School is a great example. And, you're consistently every week, you're putting in those hours in class, putting in those hours outside of class to do homework and assignments and to study and to read, ahead for, whatever's happening in class, the next week or, the rest of that week. And maybe you take your first test and you've been studying really, really hard for that first test. And, you ace that test. It's a reflection of the study or the hard work that you put in to ace that test. Okay, maybe the next day you don't go back to studying for that next test or doing that assignment. Maybe you literally just take a day to do nothing. and do nothing may look like whatever to you. Like me and Janelle said, both of us will sit and binge a whole season on Netflix. So maybe you just do that for a day. You just sit and watch TV and enjoy your day. Maybe you just sit in a day of like solitude, and maybe you do some yoga, maybe you do some meditation, maybe you take a bath, enjoy some, incense and things of that nature. Maybe you actually do have a day where you take off, but you go enjoy some time with friends. You have a fun night out. You guys, have maybe a brunch, or, you just catch up. Because when we're all, busy within our moment trying to achieve whatever we're trying to achieve, sometimes we can get so boggled down with that we don't have as much time for others. So maybe you reconnect with some friends that you weren't able to have time for at that moment because you were working on something. So yeah, those are just small ways to like celebrate small wins. And you should celebrate those things because, like we said before in the beginning of the episode, it helps you with motivation. It helps you measure your growth, but it also helps you with confidence. I can't tell you how good I feel after I achieve something. In the sense of recently, the big thing that I achieved was my real estate license. I had called my mom. Thanks, girl. I talk to my mom pretty frequently. We talk all the time. But I had called her randomly to talk about something. I don't know. I had to ask her a question. As an adult, when you're a younger adult, you still be asking your mama questions like, should I do this? Or how do I do this? So I called her for something, and we FaceTime all the time. She was out at the store and had ran into, one of her friends who I had known growing up. I call her, well, I'm not going to tell you what I call her, but, I call her Miss whatever her name is. And she had ran into her daughter. And she was just, she had put her on FaceTime, and she was just like congratulating me. And she was like, you look so beautiful. You look so happy. And I'm just happy for everything that's happening in your life. And I heard you got your real estate license, and that's a great thing. And she was just going on and giving me praises. And I was just like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm still trying to work hard and, go to that next step. Like I said, you guys know I'm with a brokerage right now, and I'm going to start training soon. But I don't know if I took the moment to really reflect and acknowledge what I had accomplished. So it really took me back when she was like, it's great. And I see you out here and you're doing great things, and there's going to be future things that you're achieving. So just to realize that, like, you need to take a moment. That's what I mean by celebrating small victories, because other people can see it in you, but sometimes you're so focused about achieving that big goal that you don't see it. So that just boosted my confidence a little bit. Like her seeing me praises and saying all these things that she had seen, and she'd be looking at my little Facebook story, so I'd be posting stuff on that. She was like, you look so happy and great and blah blah. And I'm sitting here like, well, thank you. There's some definitely, in my mind, I'm sitting here like, there's definitely things that I need to work on. But she's like, no, everything looks great. So that's what I kind of mean. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. Because even when I was talking to your mom and she was saying different things, I was like, oh my God, really? Thank you.
Girl,
she was to my whole head.
She was singing your praises in the car. What me and Janelle are referring to is Janelle recently, we were both in Louisville at the same time. And we had hung out. My mom does this like little, I don't say little. My mom does this, what is it? It's like a farmer's market almost.
It's a pop-up shop.
Okay, it's like a pop-up shop that she does every weekend. She sells her, energy bracelets. I wear them all the time. You've probably seen them in these podcasts or other videos. And Janelle had come just to hang out with us. We got food. We were just hanging out, talking, chatting it up. And she had helped us, help my mom pack up her stuff. We were going to the car. And my mom was just like, Janelle, you always look good. You always traveling. Keep doing what you're doing. My mom is also in education system. She's a counselor at an elementary school, and she's been in, primary and secondary education for almost, I think, all my life pretty much. So she was just encouraging Janelle, continuing with her journey and fighting for these students. And, just working through all of that. And girl was just talking about Janelle's edges. Janelle's edges are always laid down. And mom was still, Janelle had left at some point. My mom's in the car. She's like, I really like Janelle. I was like, well, I'm glad you like her. I'm glad. We've been friends for a minute, So.
Look, Mama Braden. Y'all, that is Mama Braden. I'm telling you. It is always love. And that's the thing. And you know what? I feel like when your parents really love your friends, that shows and that speaks volumes that is actually a good person. Let me just say this. My mom has never been wrong about none of the friends that she was like, ugh.
Same.
So just take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? My mom, she loves MV. She loves both of my Ashleys, my Bing Bing. Like, she loves all of y'all. So it's like, if my mama don't love the crew, something is wrong with you, baby. Something is wrong with you.
Right. They have that mother intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, but yeah, I can't go on and say more about, really taking the time to celebrate the small wins, because, it helps you throughout the process. Like, obviously we all want to get to that big win, but it's going to help you so much throughout that process. We talked about 3 things. I'm not going to reiterate it just because we talked about it about 2 or 4 times in this podcast. But girl, is there anything else that you want to say when it comes to small wins, or just anything when it comes to, shoot, that doesn't slip my mind. When it comes to, sorry, you guys, I'm looking through the notes real quick to think about because I literally just left my mind. Oh, Juneteenth. I'm sorry. When it comes to Juneteenth, you guys, I'm losing it for 2 seconds. I'm so tired from last night, you guys. I enjoyed myself yesterday. I did a few different things. Maybe we'll get to it, but anything when it comes to those 2 things?
It's actually 2 things I want to mention. The first one is, I know we didn't talk about this, but please keep in mind there's always someone watching you. I know I spoke about this like 2 weeks ago, but it's always somebody watching you, and you never know what position that person is able to help you at. So that will go along with your win. Believe it or not, when people see you doing good things and good deeds, they will go back and speak your name in a meeting that you have no idea about, and that will put you on to look even greater opportunity. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Definitely.
When it comes to wins. But then secondly, this is about my Juneteenth. As we stated earlier, this is a win for us, for Juneteenth to be official holiday for all people, especially all my Black people of color. And it took 158 years for us to receive this recognition of this day being a holiday for us. And I'm going to leave on this note. Malcolm X, this is to make you all think about everything. Malcolm X made this quote: "The white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equity and real justice." And basically what he is saying is that we still have to notice that we still have inequality in all realms of life and prosperity, from financial literacy to home ownership to the modern day lynching through police brutality and the modern day Jim Crow voter suppression. And let's not forget, there is still no reparations for what my ancestors have went through, for what Micaiah ancestors have went through, all of our ancestors. So please keep that in mind. Even though this is a victory for us in this present moment, still remember we have a lot of work to do in America to make sure that people of color receive the right quality of life and that there is no more injustices to our people.
Definitely agree. There's 2 things that I want to say to wrap up. The first one is just an overarching idea of what we talked about when it came to, celebrating the small wins. So the first thing I want to say is, obviously, make time to do it and, enjoy that process. Like, if you're going to do something to celebrate it, whether it's, a whole day, maybe you just take an hour, maybe you just take a few minutes, maybe do some breathing and just, enjoy that moment, be present. Whatever it is, be present in the moment in what you're doing, and don't focus on what else is out there, outside parameters that are hurting you, or, trying to keep you from achieving your dream. The dream itself, don't think about it when the time that you're, taking the time to, celebrate it. Just think about what you're doing in that moment and be present with it. Second thing is, I also have a quote. It's more about, our central theme of what we talked about is, so it's by Howard Zinn. It's, we don't have to engage in grand heroic actions to participate in the process of change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. So I just, I empower you guys. I hope you guys lead the charge, and I hope all of us are taking small acts or doing small things that we feel can help shift our world to a better place, or can, make better changes, something positive that's going to bring out something great, and, adjust and make that change in the world. So I hope we're all trying to achieve that. I think me and Janelle, one way that we do that is through this podcast. So, talking to people, helping people on their journeys, and putting out, good, positive, real advice and information. And then my last thing to wrap up is, you guys, there's a lot of legislature currently in the docket in a lot of our courts that hurts voters and is voter suppression, modern day voter suppression. So make sure that you're reaching out to, your county officials, your courts, whoever your representatives are, to understand what the legislator is that's on the docket, and make sure that you're voting too. If you have, local elections that are coming up, make sure that you vote, make sure that your voice is heard. That's the way your voice can be heard. And make sure that you're understanding what is going on in your local level of government, because that's how we make change.
Amen. And I just want to echo that again. It is, don't get me wrong, the presidential election is important, but your local elections are the most important. That's the most important legislation that's going to affect you, your kids, and your neighborhood as a whole. So make sure you guys are going out and voting and voting and voting. Be the change that you want to see.
Right.
I legit say that all the time. Make sure you are the change you want to see. So instead of complaining about how something is, make sure you're getting up and going to vote and doing what you're supposed to do as a citizen. You get what I'm saying? You can't be like, oh, I don't like what they doing here, but hey, you wasn't even at the poll.
Right.
Y'all know we real over here. We real.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. And I'll just end off on, you guys, support a Black-owned business. Whether it's Juneteenth or it's not Juneteenth, when you guys are going to be listening to this episode, it's actually not going to be Juneteenth anymore. Not that we don't continue to celebrate every day, but, support a Black-owned business. If there's something local that you're shopping for, find a Black-owned business for it. If there's something, a clothing site that you're looking for, look at an online Black-owned e-commerce site. Like, start to make those small little adjustments and steps. You guys, as always, thank you so much for, rocking with us and listening to us. If you guys are, supporting us, you're part of that homie group, our ride or dies, little story. If you're still new to the podcast and you're like, well, what is homies? Me and Janelle actually met at the University of Kentucky in Holmes Hall. We met, and, we've been friends ever since. So, our crew, our clique, our people that ride for us, we ride for you. You're part of our homie crew. And as always, if you want to, engage with us a little bit more, go on over to the Being Becoming podcast page on IG. It's Being Becoming Podcast is the name. We're going to be starting to do a lot more with the page. I'm talking to some people. I'm trying to do a little bit more and engage more with you guys. But right now what we're doing is we do post, usually our episodes that we're going to talk about, or the topic that we'll talk about for this week. And then we also, if you want to slide into our DMs to engage a little bit more with us, if you want to ask about a previous topic, if you have some questions, or if you just want us to mention something, feel free to slide into our DMs. And then, as always, if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at I'm Just MB on IG.
And you can follow me at Beautiful J.
And as always, we appreciate you guys so much, and we will see you guys next week.